Click the first link in the description for the best Askreddit content. I, 25F, don't know if I can go through with a marriage of convenience to my baby's father, 27M, even though it will be beneficial for my son. I met Alex during my best friend's engagement party. We ended up having a week-long fling which resulted in my pregnancy. I was going to get an abortion, but my family guilted me into keeping the baby by saying I should let my brother and Sil adopt him as they've been struggling to have a baby for years without luck, and my Sil just found out she's unlikely to ever be able to carry a baby to term. As awful as it sounds, I wasn't going to tell Alex, and I was just going to let them adopt the baby after he was born. However, the further along I've gotten into my pregnancy, the less I want to give my son away. The only person I've confided my doubts about the adoption to was my best friend. I'm 7 months pregnant now, and last month I received a call from Alex demanding to know if I was having his baby. We ended up taking a prenatal paternity test at his insistence, and now he's outright told my family that he will block any adoption attempts. My Sil is devastated, and my family are angry at me for telling him. They've all completely cut me off until I can convince Alex to let my Sil/brother adopt the baby. Since finding out the baby is his, Alex has been insisting we get married, and quickly. His grandfather is very wealthy, but he's also very old-fashioned and believes only legitimate children have the right to his wealth. His grandfather has offered to create a trust fund for our son if we get married before he's born and stay married for 2 years. Alex is willing to go through with it. He thinks now that we're going to be parents, we should be willing to sacrifice things for our child. I've told him I'd do it, because in the moment I felt selfish for refusing, but I feel like I'm getting cold feet. We're supposed to get married in a week, and every time I think about it, I feel like I'm verging on a panic attack. What do I do? Too long didn't read. My baby's great-grandfather has offered to set up a trust fund for him if I marry his father and stay married to him for 2 years. The father is on board with the idea, but I don't know if I can go through with it. Don't marry someone you don't want to marry. Being in a miserable relationship controlled by money isn't good for your child. Being happy is best, even if that means you make do on less money and stay single. If the baby's father comes from money, then you can file for child support when the baby comes. Expect that they'll countersue you for some custody or visitation. You don't have to get married if you don't want to, and you shouldn't. And a family that will offer money only if you marry is shady, and not one that I'd like to tie my lot to for 2 years. Your family's plan was/is dumb tbh. It would never have been a proper adoption without father's consent/knowledge. Alex has stated he will not approve of an adoption, so that is over and done. It sounds a little like you are used to having people make decisions for you. This is one you need to decide for yourself. What is it that you want? Knowing adoption is off the table. Being a single mom is hard, not going to lie, but doable. You would get child support, but typically it is not enough to cover everything. Not sure what your financial situation is. If you get married, is there an agreement you will divorce after 2 years? Would it be a real marriage, or in name only? How do you feel about that? What do you think is best for you and your baby? Bottom's line is you need to decide what to do for yourself, knowing what the ramifications for your life will be. Pick a path and don't second guess yourself. Look, what do you actually want to do? Your horrible family has already used guilt to manipulate you into not getting an abortion. If you keep the baby, Alex will have to pay child support. You don't have to marry him. Do you want to be a parent to this child? Do you want to give it up for adoption? Do you want Alex to have primary custody? All I see here is what everyone else wants. What do you want? Truly, deep down in your soul. This is going to sound harsh, but you need to start being an adult here. You let your family bully you into keeping a baby you were going to abort. You decided to hide the pregnancy from the father, hoping he wouldn't find out, and now you're letting this guy bully you into getting married. Try actually doing something instead of just letting things happen to you. It doesn't sound like you want to get married, and it doesn't sound like you want to give up the baby. So why are you letting people dictate your life for you? Take control. You really want that trust fund for your kid? Fine, get married. Define the terms of that marriage before you go through with it. You're an equal partner in this arrangement. Is it going to be a monogamous thing with Alex, or will you keep it discreet and open? Yes, you'll be a mother and a wife, but also you'll still be your own person and you have to be able to control what that means for you. ETA, I also want to point out that marriage isn't just some we love each other forever or we need to be a mom and dad together thing. Marriage is a legally binding arrangement with another person that gives you certain rights over each other. Alex, as your husband, will be able to make medical decisions for you when you can't. What if there are complications during your pregnancy and you can't make certain decisions? It falls on him. You're also tied together financially. Do you have a prenup? Talk to a lawyer first if you decide to go through with it. There's a lot to consider beyond trust fund for the baby. I, 24F, was contacted by my father's, 59M, alleged mistress, F20s. Hi all, I am a frequent lurker, but I have only ever used the sub once before. I am coming to this sub for help and I guess emotional support because I don't have anyone else to go to. So as the title states, yesterday I was contacted by someone who alleges that they have never physically met my father, but that she has sent dirty messages back and forth with him. She lives in the same state as my father and I, but it appears she's at least 4+ hours away if her location on her Facebook is correct. She reached out to me on Facebook and sent a friend request and said hello. I don't add people who I don't know, so I deleted the message request as well as the friend request. I didn't think anything of it. I figured it was someone trying to sell me something like those pyramid scheme messages. 10 minutes later my dad calls me and asks if I have received any weird messages or calls. I say no. He tells me someone is attempting to blackmail him for 5k USD by saying he is cheating on my mom, 51F, and that if they reach out that I should tell him as well as block them. I say okay and start to become suspicious. He tells me he is going to end the call to reach out to my mom as well. He calls my mom and informs her. She comes home from work as I was visiting my parents for the weekend and tells me she has something to discuss with me. She starts to essentially tell me what my father told her and I told her I already knew. Moments later she gets a text on her cell phone and this alleged woman ends up texting my mother. The woman essentially thinks it is my cell phone number and tells me to check my FB messages. We go look at my messages and see a message that in short says my dad has been seeing other women since 2007, my parents have been together since about 1989, and that the women are all around my age. She then says she wants 5k or she will tell my mom, not realizing the number she texted was actually my mom. My mom and I tell this woman essentially to fuck herself and block her. My mom ends up sitting down with me and informing me that she has had an inkling that this had been going on over the years, as another woman reached out last December also asking for money from my father and threatening to tell my mom. My dad warned my mom ahead of time like he had done this time. She also tells me over the years she has heard from a few other women, but that she wasn't sure what to do as she had 3 young kids at the time and was his arm. She also tells me over the years she has been on his phone when he has been intoxicated and passed out. She said that she has collected messages he has been sending to these women that she keeps in a file for whenever she and my father would divorce, as she said she has been anticipating it for years. This is all pretty much news to me. I didn't know much of anything. They have had 2 big arguments over the years in front of my siblings and I, but they always blew over and we thought things were fine. I am now left with all this knowledge, and my mom even pulled a file out that she has kept over the years to show me all the messages and women she has compiled. She stated that she was waiting for my siblings and I to all graduate and leave the home to decide what to do. The youngest child in our family just went away to college, so I suppose this is when shit will start going down. I have since went back to my own home and left my parents' place. I decided not to stay the whole weekend due to the awkwardness. I don't know what to do. Too long didn't read. A woman contacted me to inform me my father has been cheating on my mom with her. My mom sat down with me to talk further about this and ended up telling me my dad has had a history of cheating. Help, I don't know what to do with either parent. Edit, I know it's not on me to do anything, but has anyone been through this? Does anyone have any advice or anything on how to process this? I have been in therapy before, so I have considered going back over this event, but due to COVID it would be done through telehealth. therapist Skyping you while you're in your own home, and my 2 siblings currently live with me while they're completing college as I live near their college. So no privacy, and I don't want them to hear or discover this knowledge. It needs to come from my parents. Maybe you don't have to do anything. Sounds like this was a battle that was coming a long time and now it's time. Your mom knew and was preparing. Your dad messed up and he confessed, but this was behavior where he knew it would come up at some point if he was playing this game for years. It's up to them to figure out what they will do now. Some couples can get past this type of behavior, especially if they sort of know what's going on and want to focus on the family. It's something between your parents to decide. As for you, maybe you should see if you need some professional help, especially because they apparently have been very good at hiding this shit. Your dad betrayed the family and he involved you in his affairs. This person knew enough to bother you about it, which is very creepy on its own. That's a very shitty position to be in. Collect your thoughts. Perhaps write him a letter eventually about how you feel and if and how it changes how you view your bond. Talking might be a bit too emotional now and you need to figure out new boundaries. These are still your parents. You can still have relationships with them, separate from the marriage. You don't have to pick sides. It seems that's handled. There will be a shift in what's the norm. Give yourself the time to get used to it. Your mom sounds smart. It's just too bad that she feels she has to wait. That must be very difficult on her. She's got a plan, so I would try to leave it alone. Pretend it never happened. If your dad talks about it, I'd change the subject. Your mom has been carefully planning her escape for years, enduring pain and humiliation. If you tell your dad, it could make all of that for nothing. Something to keep in mind, even if he stops seeing other women today, your mom will never be able to trust him. It can't be fixed. Hopefully she will get the chance to have a relationship where she can fully trust her partner. I hope someone is going to call the police. Blackmail is illegal. That's the dad's problem, not the problem of the op or the mom. Stay out of it. Let your mom know you support her, but let her handle her business. Be supportive of your mom, but let her know from the get-go that you do not want to be her sounding board for this. She should use her friends or a therapist, because even adult children should never be involved in the details of a nasty divorce. You can support her in other ways though. This is where I am stuck, because she only has one friend. She genuinely was the parent who took her kids to every sports game, did homework with her children, read books to us before bed, had fresh meals made for every meal, house was always clean, etc. She was so dedicated to being a wife and parent that she never dedicated time to self-care or making friends. Her mom was her best friend until she passed away a few years ago, so this is where I feel as though it's on me to listen, even if the details are too much, which I know is unhealthy. I have suggested therapy for her, but I don't know if she'd do it since my father controls the money in the family. Partner repeatedly putting our child in danger. Hi everyone, I'm F/28. My partner is M/36. We have a 4-year-old daughter together. We've been together for 7 years now. I have so much to say here, but I'm going to try keep it short as possible. Him and I are still together, but we live separately and a long distance away. Our daughter lives with me and sees him once a week for a day, sometimes twice a week. My partner has autism. This has been diagnosed when he was younger. He works, but his work life has had to be tweaked to his ability. He struggles terribly with social situations and especially seeing a cause and effect of something. He can't grasp how X thing leads to Y thing, or why someone may have got offended by something he's said, etc. I've always understood those issues and it's never really been a problem. But then we had a failed contraception and I had our daughter, so now I have plenty more opportunities to see how much he really does struggle. He tries really hard, and all in all, he's a great father. They have a great bond together. However, because of his autism, and maybe other issues, he is extremely dangerous around her. I could be here forever listing all the things, but just a few. He's left her completely on her own in a play center aged 3 while he walked back to his car to fetch something, something that was unimportant and could have waited, and was gone for 20 minutes. The staff there were running around trying to find him and calling him over the intercom. He's tried to send her back home on her own in a taxi because he was running late and didn't want to do the journey here to drop her off. Again aged 3. He's gave her a rancid yogurt that made her sick because he didn't understand that an opened yogurt that's been left out in a boiling car for 4 days will go off. She threw up while in her car seat once, so he decided to take her out of it, put it in the back of the car and just drove around while trying to hold her in the standard seat with his arm, because he didn't want her sitting in her sick. Aged 1.5. I went insane over this and he said I was making a big deal over nothing because he's a safe driver. I've caught her recently playing with a carving knife that he'd left right on the edge of the table while being oblivious to it. It just goes on and it's endless. I understand that he can't help it and he's not doing it intentionally, but it doesn't make the situation any easier because I don't know what to do for the best. I feel like I always have to be around to monitor him, and our daughter says often how she just wants some time with him and to go whatever particular place with him. It's really affecting us all and I'm at a loss what to say anymore or where to go from here. I'm completely overwhelmed trying to care for a 4-year-old, my disabled mom, my partner and myself. TL Doctor. Partner/child's father has autism and perhaps other things which are putting our daughters safely at risk and seriously affecting our relationship. Hi, could you maybe hire a sitter to be with them during their visits? Are you unable to live together right now? Do you see this relationship continuing much longer? Even though it isn't his fault, obviously your daughter's safety has to come first. Being alone with her father isn't safe. I hope you're able to find a way to work this out so they can have a good relationship throughout her life. It doesn't really matter if it's intentional. Your partner is a danger to your child. Your child's safety takes precedence over your partner's feelings. Autistic person and student here. I'll be blunt. You cannot continue to leave your child and your partner together without you there. He isn't making normal parenting mistakes. He is seriously unsafe. It sounds like you might not be in the US. In the US, I would be legally obligated to contact the local child welfare authority if I knew your child in real life. There is even potential here that you could get in trouble if you continue to send your child there knowing what he does. You have 3 choices here, depending on the laws of wherever you are. A. Go with the child on visits and supervise them. B. Don't let the child visit anymore. C. Get a family law attorney and petition for physical custody for yourself with supervised parenting time only for him. This will get the child welfare authorities involved. Realistically, if you want to maintain any sort of relationship with your partner, you will only have A as an option. He tries really hard, and all in all, he's a great father. Trying is not enough. Your description makes it very clear that unfortunately, his cognitive limitations make him unable to make good parenting choices without in-person support from someone else. Your child's safety needs to come before his feelings. Unfortunately, you may need to go through the legal system. I wish you luck. He cannot have the child unsupervised. You know this. If something happens to her, protective services will be called in and you will have larger problems. Do not risk your low because he can't make the safe decisions for her. Anything and everything about your relationship with this man, put it all aside for now. All of it is a distant second to your child's requirements for safety and welfare. This man is incapable of taking care of a child and cannot be left alone with her for any reason, ever again. You are going to have to be, essentially, a single parent to her. Whilst it sounds to me like she is safe with him if he is supervised the entire time by another adult, that is the extent that he can be allowed to shoulder any responsibility for her. You sound overwhelmed by your current responsibilities, but that does not change this reality. I would reach out to your local resources for help. If you have to, just key in your questions on Google "need help with childcare" etc. and search for resources in your area.